Hello everyone, today our topic is atomic structure. See here this compound water consists of two elements, one is hydrogen and another is oxygen. Hydrogen and oxygen, two elements, they combine with each other to form water molecule. Elements are those which are pure substances, that those substances cannot be created from other elements or they cannot be converted to other elements. For example, hydrogen is one element that cannot be converted to another element, oxygen, and on the other way, hydrogen cannot be formed from oxygen or oxygen cannot be formed from hydrogen. So elements are the pure compounds that cannot be formed from other elements or cannot be converted to other elements. Now two hydrogen atoms, this hydrogen element that consists of a large number of hydrogen molecule, H2 molecule. Similarly, oxygen element that consists of a large number of oxygen molecule. Now one hydrogen molecule consists of two hydrogen atoms, that is one molecule that contains two hydrogen atoms. So the smallest particle here is the atom. From atom we get molecule and from molecule we get element, and elements combine with each other to form compound. So atom is the smallest particle of any matter, and this smallest particle may be exist in independent form or may not be exist in independent form. For example, for hydrogen element, atom is dependent, that is atom cannot remain as hydrogen atom, is always exists in the form of hydrogen molecule, that is two hydrogen atoms combine to form hydrogen molecule. Whereas for carbon atom, this carbon atom can exist as independently, that is carbon atom do not combine to give the molecule, they can remain as the individual atom. So atom is the smallest particle of any matter that can exist dependently or that can exist independently, whereas molecule is the smallest particle of any matter that exists always in independent form. Molecule remains always in independent form, whereas atom may remain in dependent form or may remain in independent form depending on the particular element. Now John Dalton is the scientist who first gave the structure of atom, and he gave different statements on the structure of atom. These statements are collectively called Dalton's atomic theory, and these statements are called Dalton's postulate. Because why these are called postulates? These theory are called postulates. Why these are postulates? Because the statements given by Dalton, these have no experimental proof. These statements were given only theoretically, so they are called postulates. Number one postulate is, according to Dalton, atoms are the small and indivisible particles in matter. That indivisible means they cannot be subdivided into other particles. So atom is the small and indivisible particle. Number two is, atom can neither be created nor be destroyed. Say if we take the element hydrogen and here is a hydrogen atom, this hydrogen atom can neither be created or nor be destroyed. Hydrogen atom remains at it is. If you want to get hydrogen atom from oxygen or from any other atom, that is not possible. Similarly, from hydrogen atom, formation of other atoms like oxygen or carbon, that is not possible. So atoms can neither be created nor be destroyed. Number 3 is atoms of the same element are identical. So if we take the hydrogen element, all the atoms of hydrogen element are identical. Similarly, all the atoms of oxygen element are identical. Whereas atoms of different elements are different. Hydrogen atoms are different from oxygen atoms. Number 4 is atoms can combine with each other to form molecule. Atoms of the same element, for example, and here n is the integer, n number of atoms can combine to form molecule, and these atoms should be from the same element. For example, when hydrogen molecule atom form, then this n is equal to 2. N is the value, this is integer and greater than 1. For hydrogen molecule, n is equal to 2. For nitrogen molecule, n is equal to 2. Oxygen, n is equal to 2. And n is equal to 4 for phosphorus. P4 phosphorus exists as P4 molecule. N is equal to 8 for sulfur. Sulfur exists as S8. So 8 number of atoms of sulfur combine and form the S8 molecule. This is the smallest dependent unit of sulfur. Whereas when atoms of different elements combine with each other, then we get compounds. Say water, in water hydrogen atoms combine with oxygen atom to give the water molecule. So water is compound. Here atoms are from different elements. And the last postulate is smallest unit takes part in chemical reaction. Atom is the smallest unit that can take part in chemical reaction. Among all the postulates, only the last postulate, that is acceptable letter, and all the that is accepted letter, and all the other postulates were later proved to be wrong. Only the last postulate is accepted. Now atom, what will be the then definition of atom? Atom is the smallest particle of an element which exhibits all the properties of that element, whereas it may or may not exist independently but always takes part in chemical reaction. So atom is the smallest particle of element which exhibits all the properties of that element. If we take hydrogen element, then hydrogen element have different specific properties, and if we take one hydrogen atom, then we will obtain similar properties. So atom contain the similar properties of the element, whereas it may or may not exist independently. For some elements it can exist in dependent form, or for some element it does not exist in dependent form, but atoms always take part in chemical reaction. For example, hydrogen atom combines with oxygen atom to form water, thus atoms can take part in chemical reaction. So initially it was thought that atoms are the smallest particle. Later different particles constituting the atom were discovered, and these particles are smaller than atom. These are called subatomic particles. That is, these particles are present in an atom, and among the different subatomic particles, 3 particles are the building block of an atom. These 3 particles are electron, which is negative charged, proton, which is positive charged, and neutron, which is neutral. These 3 particles collectively called fundamental subatomic particles because they are the building unit of an atom. Now we will discuss shortly about their discovery. First, electron. Electron was first named by scientist J. Thomson. For this, Thomson performed an experiment. Here he first took a hard glass tube. This is a hard glass tube. This is called discharge tube or cathode ray tube, and this tube is filled with a gas, that may be any gas, hydrogen, helium, etc., and this tube is connected with the side tube. Through this side tube, the chamber or the discharge tube can be evacuated through vacuum pump. And there are two metallic plates at the two ends of this discharge tube, and these two metallic plates are connected with a battery. So this plate is connected with the negative end of battery, so this plate gets negative charged, and this end is connected with the positive end, so this plate gets positive charge. So this is called anode, and this becomes then cathode. Now, with the help of battery, if high voltage is applied inside the tube, that is high voltage is applied on the gas, then Thomson observed that there will be flow of rays from cathode towards anode. That is, from this plate there will be flow of rays from anode, and this flow are here shown in this pattern. These rays were called, according to Thomson, as cathode ray. Now, different properties of cathode ray. Different properties were observed for cathode ray. These rays always flow in straight line. If one opaque object is placed at the path of this ray, then there will be formation of shadow. That means this ray always flow in straight line. These rays make light paddle wheel rotate. As these rays make light paddle wheel rotate, that means these rays can do mechanical work. That means these rays contain particles. That is that proof that the rays contain particles. And if two opposite fields are placed at the two sides of this discharge tube, say this is positive electric field and this is negative electric field, these two fields are placed at the two sides, then it will be observed that there will be deviation of the path of the rays. That is, the rays will be deviated or will be attracted towards the positive end, or the rays will be repelled by the negative field. That means the particles which are contained by the rays, those particles are of negative charged, so they are attracted by positive field. This experiment proved that the cathode rays, those contain particles with negative charged. Now these rays, they cause ionization of gas through which they pass, and when they fall upon metallic target like tungsten, X-rays are produced. As these rays cause ionization of gas, thus means these rays, the particles inside the ray, they are of very high energy. And if we take the charge by mass ratio, E means here charge and this is the mass. Charge by mass ratio, then this ratio will be always constant, independent on the gas which we used in the discharge tube. It may be the gas hydrogen or may be the gas helium or any other gas. This E/m ratio is always constant. That is, the particles that is contained by the cathode ray, those particles are independent on the gas used. That is, the particles are always same for all gases. And the value of this charge by mass ratio is 1.76 into 10 to the power 11 coulomb per kg. Coulomb is the unit of charge and kg is the unit of mass. These particles, negatively charged particles, these were named by Thomson, scientist Thomson, and these are named as electrons. Now, properties of electrons. The mass of electron was determined as 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 31 kg. You can easily observe that the mass of one electron is very small. This is of the order of 10 to the power minus 31. That is very small mass of electron. Mass, it was obtained that mass of electron is 1 by 1837. If we multiply this factor with mass of one hydrogen atom, this is mass of one hydrogen atom. If we multiply this factor with mass of one hydrogen atom, then we get mass of electron. That is, mass of electron is very small. Charge of electron is minus 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb, and the charge of electron is taken as unit negative charge, and radius of electron is 10 to the power minus 15 meter. That is, electron is very small particle, and the representation of one electron is minus 1. Here this minus 1 denotes the charge, and here this 0 denotes the mass of electron. As its mass is very small, so we can neglect its mass and we can consider the mass as 0. So this denotes the mass and this denotes the charge, and here at the center we have to write E. So this is the representation for electron. Now protons. Protons were discovered by scientist Goldstein. Scientist Goldstein also took the similar discharge tube, but the difference is here the cathode plate is taken, which is perforated cathode plate. That means there are a number of pores in the cathode plate. And similarly, the anode and cathode is attached with the battery, and high electric volt is generated inside the gas of the discharge tube. Then scientist Goldstein observed that along with the cathode rays which move from cathode towards anode, there will be another ray which move from anode towards cathode, and these rays pass through the pores of the cathode plate. These are the rays that pass through the pores of the cathode plate, and these rays are coming from anode towards the cathode. These rays are called positive rays or anode rays. As these rays are coming from anode, they are anode rays, whereas the rays containing electron coming from cathode, those are cathode rays. Or these rays are also called canal rays because these rays pass through the canals or the pores of the cathode, so they are also called canal rays. Now what is the origin of the generation of cathode rays or the anode rays? Because here if we take say hydrogen gas and high voltage is created, one hydrogen atom contain one electron and one proton. Now when high voltage is created on hydrogen gas, then there will be removal of one electron from hydrogen, then there will be generation of H plus ion. That is, this H plus ion contains only one proton. and these electrons are removed from hydrogen atom, and electrons become free. And as these electrons are negative charged particles, then they will be attracted by the positive end. So there will be flow of electrons from the negative end, that is cathode, towards the positive end, that is anode. That is the cathode rays that contains the electrons negative charged, whereas there will be, beside this, there will be generation of H plus ions. As these ions are positive charged, then these ions will be attracted towards the negative end, that is cathode, and these ions then move from anode towards cathode, and there will be generation of anode rays or canal rays. So anode rays contains the positive ions, whereas cathode rays contains the negative ions. Anode rays, those are contain H plus ion if we here take the hydrogen gas. If we here take the helium gas, then there will be, as there are 2 electrons in helium and 2 proton, then there will be removal of 2 electrons and we will get helium 2 plus ion. Then in the cathode, in the anode rays, there will be helium 2 plus ions. Now properties of anode rays, similar to the cathode rays, they move also in straight line. They can make light paddle wheel rotate, that means these rays contain also particles. And if we similarly before, if we place the two field, positive and negative field, then the rays will be attracted by the negative field, attracted by negative field opposite to the cathode ray. That means the anode rays contains positive charged particles. And here the E by M ratio, that is the charge by mass ratio of the particle, that is not constant, that depends on the gas that is used in the discharge tube. Depending on hydrogen gas used, the positive charge particle will be hydrogen H plus, then E by M will be different. Depending on helium gas, the particle will be helium 2 plus, then E by M will be different, as the charge and mass different for helium 2 plus than from H plus. And for hydrogen, this E by M is maximum, as for hydrogen the mass is very small, so this ratio becomes large. Now hydrogen atom as contains 1 electron, 1 proton, so 1 electron is removed, then we get H plus. As this H plus ion contains only 1 proton, so this is considered as the proton particle, which is the subatomic particle. And the representation of proton is given by at the center P, and at the left side and at the below bottom left side there is written 1, and this 1 denotes here charge, that is proton is unit positive charge. And at the right upper side there is written 1, and this 1 denotes the mass of proton, as proton is the H plus ion, and we know the mass of hydrogen atom is 1 AMU. So mass of proton is also 1 AMU. So this denotes the mass, this denotes mass, and this denotes here charge. So this is the representation of proton. Similarly, charge of proton is 1.6 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb like electron. Only difference is here positive charge instead of negative charge. Mass is 1 AMU, where the mass of proton is 1837 times higher than mass of electron, that is hydrogen atom is much heavier than electron. And proton resides in nucleus, as they are positive charge, they reside in the nucleus of atom. Now after the discovery of After the discovery of the proton and neutron, first J.J. Thomson gave model of atom. This is the plum pudding model. Plum pudding means pudding is a special type of food and in which there are different dry fruits are embedded. These are called plum. This is the model is like watermelon. As in watermelon, the red part is uniformly distributed and the seeds of watermelon are embedded inside the red part. Here also, according to J.J. Thomson, the positive charge is uniformly distributed inside the atom and the negative charged electrons are embedded like the seeds of watermelon inside the positive charge, or the negative charged electrons are embedded like the dry fruits or the plum, as plum embedded inside the pudding or inside the cake. And in this model, the number of negative charged are balanced by number of positive charge so that electrical neutrality of atom is maintained. But later this model is discarded and then came Rutherford's atomic model. Rutherford performed an experiment with the alpha particles, that is the helium 2 plus ions. Alpha, when helium atom we know contain 2 proton and 2 protons contained by helium, 2 electrons. Similarly, as there are 2 unit positive charge, there should be 2 unit negative charge, and these 4 represent total number of proton plus total number of neutron. So 4 minus 2 is equal to 2 neutron. Now if 2 electrons are removed from one helium atom, then we will get helium 2 plus ion. This helium 2 plus ion corresponds to alpha particles. Rutherford took a stream of alpha particles and he allowed this stream of alpha particles to pass through a thin gold film, and instead of gold this may be any heavier element, heavier metal. And he observed that most of the alpha particles will pass through the gold film without any deviation in their path. Most of the alpha particles pass through the gold film, whereas few of them will be slightly deviated and another few of them will be deviated with large angle, another few will be deviated with large angle, and a very few of the rays will be completely bounced back. Very few of them will be completely bounced back. And from this experiment he concluded that all the mass of the atom, the whole mass resides at the center of the atom, because as most of the alpha particles pass through the gold film, that means most of the spaces in atom is empty and some rays will be deviated with larger deviation. That means there will be collision with the center where the whole mass is concentrated with the alpha rays. As there will be deviation, the rays are completely bounced back, and here the rays contain the positive ion, so there should be repulsion. That means the center also contain the positive charge, and this center where the whole mass reside of the atom, this center is called nucleus. So this is the nucleus. Nucleus contains all the positive charge, that is protons reside inside the nucleus. So mainly here the empty space, whole mass is at center. This center is called nucleus. Positive charge remain in the nucleus and the size of nucleus is very small, so very few amount of rays will be deviated. And according to Rutherford, electrons revolve around as there is electrical neutrality in the atom, so there should be same number of electrons in the atom to maintain the electrical neutrality. And according to Rutherford, these atoms revolve around the nucleus. These atoms revolve around the nucleus just like solar family. As the planets revolve surrounding the sun, here also the electrons revolve surrounding the nucleus. So this is the Rutherford model, and these electrons revolve around the circular path, those are called orbit. These are the circular path, those are called orbit. But there is one drawback of Rutherford model. According to Rutherford model, so electrons always revolve surrounding the nucleus, and according to classical mechanics, if any charged particle revolve or any charged particle remains in motion there, then there should be always release of electron, continuously release of electron, as continuously release of energy. As here electron is charged particle and it is revolving surrounding the nucleus, so there should be continuously release of energy. Then the electron will be pulled by the nucleus, and at a certain time it will fall upon nucleus. That demands the total collapse of the atomic structure. Electron will fall upon nucleus, that means collapse of atomic structure. So according to Rutherford model, atom is very unstable, which is definitely a wrong statement. Then came Bohr's atomic model. So according to Bohr's atomic model, electrons revolve surrounding the nucleus along certain paths. Electron cannot revolve surrounding the nucleus along all paths, they revolve along certain paths. These paths are called shells or orbit. When one electron revolves along a certain orbit, then its energy remains constant. Say electron is revolving around this orbit, say this is the first orbit, then its energy remains constant. When it revolves around second orbit, then its energy remains constant. So these orbits are called stationary orbits. And when electron absorbs energy, then it jumps from lower energy orbit to higher energy orbit. Here if we move away from nucleus, that is from n is equal to 1 to n is equal to 2 to 3, then there will be increase of energy, and if we go towards the nucleus, then there will be decrease of energy. So energy in this manner increases. So all the orbits are called energy levels. When electron absorbs energy, then if it jumps from lower energy to higher energy, and when electron releases energy, then it jumps from higher energy to lower energy. And each orbit, those are also called shell, and when the orbit which is closest to nucleus, this is called K shell, then came L shell, then M shell, then N shell, and so on. And if we look at the energy value, there will be constant increase in energy value if we move away from nucleus. Then neutron was discovered, as there is one negative charged particle and one positive charged particle. Then if we combine electron with proton, then there will be charge will be balanced, charge becomes 0, but there is one extra mass, that is 1. So this particle came, that is neutron. The charge of neutron is 0, whereas its mass is almost similar to proton, mass is 1. Helium atom has 2 proton, but its mass should be 2 AMU, but it was observed that the mass of one helium atom is 4 AMU. So there should be 2 neutron of mass 2 AMU. So helium atom contains 2 proton, 2 electron and 2 neutron. Here 2 proton and 2 neutron, those remain in the nucleus and electrons revolve surrounding the nucleus. So proton and neutron, those particles remain in nucleus at the center of atom, and electrons revolve surrounding the nucleus, that is outside the nucleus. Scientist Chadwick first discovered nucleus by this reaction. When alpha particle beryllium atom is bombarded with alpha particle, that is helium atom, then there will be generation of carbon nucleus with generation of the subatomic particle, that is the neutron. So this is the discovery reaction of neutron. Okay, thank you.